Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike Swanson, who is off camera here. I want to welcome everyone via Zoom to a very important day in our organization's history. Seated at the head table is our chairman, CEO, John Sherman, former senior vice president of baseball operations, Dayton Moore, that's to come, and former senior vice president of baseball operations and player personnel, JJ Piccolo. We're going to open it up with John making an opening statement. But before we get started, I would be remiss if I didn't welcome two women who are in the house today, Marianne Moore and Nicole Piccolo. Congratulations to you and welcome aboard here.
Welcome, ladies.
In case you're wondering who the audience is, the entire baseball operations staff, vice presidents of the club, and Mike Matheny and his coaching staff are all in here for this great day for us in our history. So with that, John, I'd like to ask you to make an opening statement.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Well, two observations on your intro. I'm the only one up here that's not a former something. And I'm the only guy without a ring, so let's make a note of that. But anyway, well, we're here today for important organizational announcement for the team, but I'm going to back up just a second because it's not very often that I have the opportunity to talk to you. And just for context, it's been about 2 years, almost 2 years since we acquired the franchise. Been an interesting 2 years, to say the least. When I think about what we got hit with in 2020, I think about a lot of things. But really, what I'm most inspired by is the way this organization responded to the crisis. I think that the way that, Dayton was of a great help to me as we thought about the difficult decisions that we had to make in that first year. And I thought guided by our culture and our value system, I think we handled that situation extremely well. And it wasn't a lot of fun with those cardboard cutouts, but we did get 60 games in and we got to play baseball. And then 2021, although we started at limited capacity, I think one of the biggest highlights is to get having our fans back in the stands. We started a little bit slower, but it has struck me, and it struck me, right now as I'm watching college football and pro football, but baseball, sports, the fans aren't just there for the energy; they're really part of our product. And in 2021, for the first few months of the season, starting with opening day, as I wandered around the stadium, many times we ran into people that were in tears for nothing other than getting to do something normal again. So it was a really great experience. And I think baseball and in this community, we're able to do something very special for our fans as we start to return to normal. Also felt like Dayton and the group made some great efforts to improve the team. And I feel really good about where we are today. I'm thinking that 2022, we're back to normal, full capacity day one, and that will get the 162 under those conditions. I guess I would say that, and when I talk about difficult circumstances, these are not complaints. I have no complaints. I realize how lucky I am and how privileged I am to be sitting in this seat. And the way that this organization met these challenges, my feeling is really more about gratitude. I will say, though, if you look back on the business plan we put together for the acquisition of the Royals, and you look at the risk factors section, a global pandemic is not listed as one of the risk factors. But if any of you saw it coming, I wish you'd have told me. It'll be in the next business plan. But anyway, I want to get to the news of the day. Dayton, the other thing about these 2 years, I've gotten to know these two guys a lot better, and that's been a great privilege of mine, and many of you that are here as well. But when I think about Dayton's career, and I won't be able to go through all of your resume, Dayton will be here a long time, but he was a college player, a college coach. In fact, I noticed someone there, you coached the Winchester Royals of the Shenandoah Valley League, maybe during the summer when you were a college coach. Went to work for the Braves as an area scout, became assistant scouting director, international scouting director, director of player development. I know I'm missing some of these, different positions in the front office, assistant GM, and then he was named the 6th general manager of the Kansas City Royals in 2006. And if you were to devise like many of us do in business, a management training and development program to put people through all of the roles that they would need to lead a baseball operations organization of a Major League Baseball team, this would be the career path that you would, the only jobs that I think you haven't had, Dayton, are the ones that didn't exist before you became a general manager, primarily in the sciences. But so today, Dayton Moore is being elevated to be president of baseball operations of the Kansas City Royals. I'm really excited about what Dayton can do for us in this role. He's totally prepared. I'll let him talk about it, firsthand, but I see it. He talks to me about elevating his role, becoming more effective, and I can't wait to see that. JJ Piccola, this is a big day for you. You are now is this effective today, by the way? Okay. So effective today. JJ, you're now the 7th general manager in the Kansas City Royals franchise history. Congratulations to you. I would say I've gotten to know JJ, have a tremendous amount of respect for him and frankly, the entire front office staff. I feel really, really good about the hands that we're in. But JJ has been an architect of what I would call helping modernize our baseball operations organization over the last few years. I know we had a lot of help doing it, but when you think about data science and analytics and data capture and technology and all the tools that we have for player development, JJ was, I think, helped lead us to that evolution under Dayton's tutelage. And I believe that, we're seeing, I think those initiatives, JJ, are yielding us results right now. And so I really look forward to keeping JJ here is strategic to this franchise. I don't know if it's been an annual event, but I've certainly been here when other teams have inquired and asked permission to talk to JJ about becoming a general manager at another team. If that opportunity came, we certainly would have supported him doing it, but this is a much, much better result for the Kansas City Royals. So with that, I want to turn it over to you guys, but I would just say thanks to both of you for all that you've done for this franchise. Congratulations on your ascension to these roles. Let me know how I can be helpful. I look forward to working with both of you as the Kansas City Royals move to the next level. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to just make a few brief remarks and then turn it over to JJ. John, certainly appreciate your leadership, your guidance through all this. It's been an amazing 2 years, really, just getting to work with you, learn from you, and we're gonna continue to make you even more proud. I promise. This structure has been presented a few different times, and truthfully, it just wasn't one that personally I was ready to embrace for a number of reasons. But the more I sought counsel, spoke to some of my colleagues that have a similar structure, and I believe over half of the major league organizations today have this structure in place. But as I began to evaluate our personnel, the different skill sets that exist within this front office, and by the way, the core group of this front office has been together longer than anybody in baseball. And so, but as we began to have discussions and lay out the different roles and how we can achieve sustained success as John desires, our fan base desires, and certainly we aspire to, it became very, very clear that this was the structure that made the most sense. When we came here in 2006, I believe we had roughly 85 employees in baseball operations, including 9 members of the front office. That included Buddy Bell and his coaching staff, Nick Swartz and his training staff, Jeff Davenport, and the clubhouse men that support us so well, and certainly the scouts and coaches and trainers in the field. And since then, as we sit here today, we have approximately 266 employees, 34 are in the front office. And so the vastness of the Major League Baseball Operations Department is very intense. The magnitude is what it is. And so it requires a lot of people. And I've always felt that it's really important to let the needs of the organization guide your path. And as we move forward, we are going to be more strategic in certain areas at certain times that require more attention. And we have the manpower to certainly do that. But ultimately, it's my responsibility to make sure we have the right people in the right place. And so that leads me to where we are today. JJ Piccolo has been very instrumental to the success of this organization. He joined us in August of 2006. He has handled every situation, every leadership position with the very best level of commitment, integrity. He's a great listener. He's able to build a consensus amongst the departments and bring synergy to all those departments. And he is a proven winner and track record in bringing people together with great hires. And as John mentioned before, really kind of spearheaded the evolution of how we have worked to modernize our front office, how we incorporate all of the data, the performance science, the behavior science, our character and leadership programs. And so again, as we go forward, this is the very best move for the organization as we strive, as I said before, to have sustained success. So JJ, I want to congratulate you. It's been an honor to work with you. I can't wait for us to continue to work together along with all these great men and women that make up our baseball operations department, this unbelievable community that we get to live in and serve and bring the joy and the value of baseball to this community at an all-time level. And I can tell you right now, I'm as fired up as I've ever been working in baseball. We love this game. We love the people in this game, and we just can't wait to go to work on their behalf. So congratulations. Way to go.
Well, I just want to start off by just saying how excited I am. A lot of familiar people in this room and people we've grown up together really as a front office. But, I want to thank John and his ownership group for believing in what we're doing as a whole, as a front office. It's certainly not me. It's a lot of people in this room and people outside of this room. But we're honored, all of us, to work together and build a great franchise, continue to build on a great franchise as we move into the future. I want to thank Dayton. I've known Dayton for almost 30 years. He's been a great mentor to all of us, not just me. He's been a great leader, high character guy, competes with the best of them, shows us how to compete properly, but demanding as well. Standards are high, but we all benefit from it. So Dayton, thanks for your leadership. I want to thank Nicole, my wife of 23 years. My boys, Michael, Ryan, my daughter, Lauren, very special to me, been a big part of everything we've done, just like as was stated earlier today. Just happy for your support, and hopefully we'll continue down that road. Mention my parents, John and Marge, my brother Kevin and his family. They're really special. They've watched us move away from home and be a part of this community here in Kansas City, but never doubted any support, never wavered. Just have always been supportive of everything we've done as a family. Again, people in this room, there's so many departments to thank to allow us to have opportunities to work together, whether it's scouting, player development, international operations, research and development, medical staff, strength and conditioning, clubhouse staff. I mean, everybody is so important to our successes. And the work that you have all done over the 15 years we've been here doesn't go unnoticed. There's some people in particular, Scott Sharp, Renee Francisco, Lonnie Goldberg, Jin Wong, Kyle Venna, Emily Penning, Gene Watson. We've been here since pretty much day one. It's 15 years. We've watched each other's families grow up together. It's been some special times. So I certainly appreciate all of your support. People that came on shortly thereafter that are guiding our path right now, Daniel Mack, Paul Gibson, Danny Onaveros, Alex Zumwalt, you guys keep driving us. You know, your creativity, your work ethic has put us in really great hands. And there's a lot to look forward to in the future, as John said. A couple people that aren't here that I have to mention, Chino, Cudahy, and Bill Fisher. When I was cutting my teeth in player development, coming from the scouting side, they showed me the way. They always gave me honest answers and, you know, helped me develop as a person in player development. And also Mike Arbuckle on the scouting side. I remember talking to Dayton early on in our time here, trying to find a veteran guy that's done a little bit of everything. And fortunately, the Phillies won a World Series in 08 and Mike became available. But when I ran the draft in 09, I remember sitting next to him and saying, hey, when this thing speeds up, slow it down for me. And Mike's always done that for me. A lot of things have already been said, but, you know, through the 15 years, there's been a lot of highs and lows. There's been some exciting times for sure. The thing that I think we're most proud of is how much we've learned through those 15 years. You know, we experienced this, the high of highs, and we could have easily just kind of sat back on our laurels, but we kept pushing forward. You know, since we've won the World Series, Dayton's mentioned the departments we've built out, certain departments that were already in place, research and development. We continue to add and grow in that area. They lead a lot of initiatives, not only from player selection, but also player development, player acquisition on the major league side, but that department continues to contribute more and more. Leadership development, Matt Morosco and his group, Mike Sweeney, Reggie Sanders, Willie Akins, Blaine Boyer, they've been tremendous in all of our players' efforts in growing and growing character. Two departments that we started since 15, our performance science department, Austin Driggers heads that up, and Dr. Ryan Maid on the behavioral science department. We're thankful for all your contributions, but I think the thing that has stood out to me is how well we collaborate. And I'm really proud of that. I think that's something that's really stood out when I take a step back and look at all the things we are accomplishing and will accomplish. It's because of that collaboration and that open-mindedness. So we will continue down that road. You know, last thing really is, you know, everything we always get to do is about players. I mean, we can't forget that. We're here to service players, whether it's the coaches in the room, front office in the back here. From an ownership standpoint, we don't exist without players. And I hope our players understand that. We'll continue down that path. And also from a front office perspective, we're just going to keep supporting you. You're the ones who drive the train. And we're proud of and happy with everybody that we have in this organization. And we're just going to go from there. So with all that said, I'm honored, I'm humbled, and I'm really just excited to get going.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to take questions. In case anybody out there wonders whether we pay attention to social media or not, we understand that there's a little bit of a buzz going on right now about a conversation regarding a downtown stadium. John will address that part at the end of this. We want to celebrate Dayton's and JJ's day here first. So the media that would like to ask baseball questions, go ahead and get your hands up. We will call on you. And then at the end of the press conference or toward the end, we'll have John make a statement regarding that. So with that, questions for Dayton or JJ or John. Todd Lebo, go ahead.
Both for Dayton and for JJ, I wonder if you could just kind of put into words how much better the situation is for this franchise right now than it was in 2006 when you guys got here.
Yeah, Todd, I think that you've watched us grow up here, and you probably know as much about this organization as I do. And we've got a great group. within this media culture in Kansas City that are fair, have always asked great questions, always challenged us in ways that made us better. And, you know, what we believe is, you know, we've always had great support at the ownership level to be innovative, make decisions on behalf of our people in the spirit of wanting our players to reach their full potential. And to watch how the game has evolved, we understand it moves very, very quickly. It's super competitive, but at the end of the day, it's all about just making good decisions about your players. As we all know, we have 180 players under control. That's what we're allowed under the current structure of Major League Baseball. So it's more crucial today than ever to make sure that we're alongside of each single player, whether they be the last player selected in the 2021 draft, all the way up to Salvador Perez, and supporting every one of their efforts, and supporting Mike Matheny and all of our coaches at every level to give them the proper tools and be relentless about how we can help and make people better. And so there's a lot more to learn. There's a lot of growth left in all of us. And as I mentioned before, Todd, I mean, we're as motivated and as invigorated as we've ever been because of a lot of things that I said, but ultimately the support of John Sherman and his vision for this franchise. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, just to add to that, I think the state of our organization right now, players on our current major league team, the experiences that they're getting, the players that are coming, the depth of our system, the things that we're doing to help them be more prepared when they get to the major league level is further along than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's because of the creativity and the ideas of a lot of people here. We listened to what they felt we needed to do, and we continue to perfect it. So we're in a great spot. And, you know, with the leadership of Mike, I had a chance for 1 year to kind of hang out with Mike before he was a major league manager, and got to understand what makes him go, what type of manager he would be. And now watching him in the dugout and watching how he prepares gives us an even better idea of what we need to do to prepare players in the minor leagues. So we're in a very good spot moving forward.
Seren Petra.
Thank you, Mike. Again, for JJ and Dayton, I know how the baseball, brain trust works. You come together as a group, right? You bring all your individual thoughts and ideas, and then collectively you make decisions. But ultimately, one man has to make the final call. Dayton, that's been you. A trade either did or didn't happen because that was you. Different, releases, those kind of things happen. Ultimately, it was your judgment. Does that now shift? And trades for the final say on a trade, again, knowing everyone will work together first, but ultimately the trades, the releases, the roster, that will be JJ's decision.
We'll all work together on that, as we mentioned, but ultimately, I've got to make the final decision, the final authority with what works well or what doesn't. And that being said, I think how I operate. I'm not a micromanager. We allow people to do their jobs. I'm going to trust JJ to make those decisions. We'll all work together. It is very collaborative, as it always has been. And I think that the uniqueness of this relationship is we've all worked together for so long. And so it's ultimately going to, be something that I have to come to grips with, whether we make a trade or what have you. But Lonnie Goldberg will tell you, JJ will tell you, in working through many of the decisions that we've had to make through the years, Rene Francisco and others, I ask a lot of questions, validate judgment, substantiate judgment. There's no question that you could ever ask me, or John Sherman could ever ask me, that I haven't asked of JJ, Lonnie, Scott Sharp, Rene Francisco multiple times in many different ways. And that's how we've always made decisions. We don't make decisions in a vacuum. We work together. And every once in a while, someone has to press that leadership button and say, the tie is now broken. And I'll be the one to ultimately have to do that.
JJ?
Yeah, Seren, I think obviously we knew that question's coming, but we've always worked together. As Dayton said, we've always worked together, and I would be foolish as a first-time general manager not to count on somebody who's sat in that seat for 15 years. But fortunately, it's somebody I know very well. So very comfortable with how we're set up. Not only myself, but others in our front office. And again, that collaboration has always taken place and will continue to.
Nick Schaefer.
Hey, Dayton, along those same lines, I know how much you love being hands-on and being on the field and being a part of those day-to-day operations. How much will you have to separate yourself from those now? And if it is to some degree, how hard will that be for you?
Mick, I think I'll have a chance to be, involved at a much deeper level. We've got an international draft on the horizon. I'm looking forward to working with Renee and Albert Gonzalez to make sure that, we are structured perhaps in a way that is going to allow us to be very, very successful. That's not for certain that there's going to be an international draft, but we have to potentially prepare for that. I enjoy so much being a part of the amateur scouting process, and I'm going to be able to commit to different aspects of this organization at different times in the year that I think is going to be healthy for us all, to be able to share some of the things that I've learned, share the mistakes that I've made in this journey. I want to be in the field with many of our area scouts and be able to spend more time in the minor leagues. We have a terrific manager in Mike Matheny, who is a veteran manager, a winning manager, and is continuing to do an amazing job. We trust that aspect very well. Obviously, what I said earlier about JJ, there's no better person in the organization to bring all the different departments together that support the major league players and staff on a day in and day out basis. And again, as I said, this is a structure that's taken a while for me to be comfortable with because of what you know about me. I like to be in the middle of the fight. I don't see that changing a whole lot. I'm really, really looking forward to spending more time with John, watching games together as we continue to learn from one another and find out how we can be better servants to this community and utilize this game and this game as a platform and the Kansas City Royals as a platform to do good for others in this community. That's John's heart. That's always been the spirit of our front office. And so there's so much more work to do, Mick. And I can't tell you, as I said before, how energized that I am personally to be able to be a part of that and continue to see this organization thrive. And we just want to be great stewards of the Kansas City Royals in this community. And this opportunity allows us to commit in ways that maybe, we haven't had a chance to commit in the past.
Lynn Worthy.
Yeah, I had one for Dayton and one for JJ, if I could. First for Dayton, I just wanted to follow up where you say sort of you could commit to different aspects. Is it safe to say, or would be accurate to say that on a day-to-day basis, maybe some of your previous responsibilities, you're going to maybe back off one a little bit? Is that an accurate way to assess this?
I think one of the most important things of leadership, Lynn, is to be able to transfer power, give responsibility away. That's something that I love to be able to do. And so the day-to-day management of the major league team between JJ and Mike Matheny and Scott Sharp and Mike and his coaching staff, that's in really, really good hands. And I'm going to be as involved as I've always been. But again, I think it's just really important to help transfer that responsibility. The one thing that I've always believed is you let the needs of the organization guide your path. And there's certain areas of an organization that require more attention at certain times during the year. I want to be a support person in some of those roles. I want to be able to lock down with a lot of the people that are at different levels within our organization. As I mentioned before, when we began this process in 2006, we had 85 employees. Now we have 266. And the way I'm wired, the way JJ is wired, and others in this organization, we want to have great relationships with all of our people. Everybody is important. Every person in every single role, from our part-time people all the way up to the most senior people in the organization. The fact that we can't spend ample time with them in these types of roles burdens me. I don't feel good about that. That's not why I got into baseball. I love the relationship aspect of it. I love being with scouts, being with young players. This past year leading up to the draft, I was fortunate to be able to speak to over 100 players and families that were draft eligible, and sharing the vision of what baseball is about and what the Kansas City Royals are about. I want to be able to sit in homes. It's hard to do that and commit to all aspects of the organization and to be that intentional if you don't have people that you trust overseeing the day-to-day operation of the major league level. JJ Piccolo is the person to be able to do that. And as I said before, the way he works with people, the way he brings departments together, this is going to be the most beneficial structure for the Kansas City Royals, perhaps in the history of our franchise.
And then for JJ, I wanted to ask just obviously over the last few years, we've seen you obviously oversee mostly the farm system, the minor league system, player development. Now with this transition to more of a day-to-day hands-on with the major league club, I wondered what your, I guess, the excitement level or just how you feel like that transition is going to go just from obviously focusing primarily on the farm system to now having more hand day-to-day with the major league club.
Well, first thing I'd say is our farm system's in good hands. I mentioned Alex Zumwalt earlier. We got Mitch Meyer, Nick Relic, Malcolm Culver. We got many others that are overseeing player development, and we're in a really good spot there. And they'll have their challenges. There's going to be some new duties for them that they're certainly ready for those duties. Over the course of this season, I've had a chance to be with our major league team a little bit more than I have in the past. It's not the first time that I've done that. It's just been a few years in between. But yeah, there's going to be things that I need to change my habits a little bit as far as what I'm studying and how I'm studying and who I'm talking to. But, I don't think it's a whole lot different, Lynn, than when I went from being a farm director to a scouting director to a personnel director. There's always things that you got to learn, but as long as you ask good questions and ask the right people, you'll learn those things pretty quickly.
Hey, Mike, could I make a comment about?
Sure, absolutely.
These questions. I think if you look at the industry, this structure is best practice in our industry now. And I would say in any business, as it grows and becomes more complicated, complex, having elevated executives that we can use their highest and best use. And I think this will evolve, but I really expect that I expect to get more executive high level thinking out of Dayton when we think about the team. And I know that the operation of the ball club is in good hands. So I would just say this is kind of a normal evolution as businesses grow and become more complex. And as Dayton said, about half the teams have this structure. In fact, I was looking at the standings today. I was thinking that most of the teams in first place have this structure. I don't know if there's a correlation, but we'll rely on the data. But anyway, that's all.
Annie.
I have two if I can. First for Dayton, kind of going off this new structure. Why now? Why this year and moving forward? Was it time for you to do this? You've mentioned your hesitancy in the past.
Annie, we just needed time to evaluate the structures, how they work, how complex it is. And as I began to dive deeper into the structure and talk to my colleagues around Major League Baseball and how it worked for them, how they were able to operate, balance out things better. It just seemed like the right time to do it. And, as Mick mentioned before, I think I had to probably come to grips with some things and just look what's best for the organization. And the most important thing is we do what's best for our fans and John and our ownership group and all of the people that are employed by the Royals. And I just came to a realization that the best thing for the Kansas City Royals, all involved, is this type of structure. And knowing full well that there's aspects of this job today that JJ is more qualified to do than me. It's as simple as that. And so I'm going to focus really, really hard on our culture. I'm going to be relentless about it and growing the game and what Kansas City Royals players represent to the history of the game, and making sure we do everything we can so John Sherman and Mike Matheny and this coaching staff and all of our players get to play on the last day and win the last game of the year. And that's going to be my focus, and that's what we'll continue to do.
And my second question is for John. You mentioned this in your opening remarks, but I wondered if you could elaborate a little bit more on what JJ brings to the table and why you guys pegged him for the GM job.
What JJ brings to the table? I talked a little bit about what I thought he's helped us do, but he's another professional here that you just talked about some of the things that you've done in the organization, some of the people you've sat beside. He also has a well-rounded career path that prepares him for this job. Again, I think that we're lucky he wasn't plucked from us to be a general manager a long time ago. Another observation I'd make, Annie, I get asked to talk about leadership a lot, and it's always confusing to me because how do you talk about leadership, right? I think it's hard. It's hard to define. It's hard to describe, but you kind of know when you see it. And I would just tell you that this is what leadership looks like. And that's what's got me excited today. I think we have two professionals here that we're going to be using both of them at a higher level. And I think the Kansas City Royals will benefit for years to come from this move today. Did I answer your question, Annie?
Yeah, thank you.
We've got Sam, Alec, and Joel in queue right now, and we're going to wrap it up with Joel. But Sam, you go first.
Yeah. Hey guys, JJ, congratulations. Beyond like the job title and look, what I hope is a good raise for you, right? But how is your life going to be differently? Like, how are your priorities different now? Just specifically for just you, how is your work going to change now?
I think the focus obviously becomes a little bit more heavy on the major league team. I'm typically here in Kansas City when the team's at home. Past years, really going back to 2019 now, when the club was away, I would go watch our minor league clubs. I hope I still get a chance to do that, but as Dayton has said, he'll be out seeing the clubs. We have other people that can see the clubs. I have to be laser focused on what's happening at the major league level and with our staff, with our players, with our major league scouts, our professional scouts, anything that's happening in development. But I got to focus on the major league club, and I look forward to that challenge. I'm excited about it. But as far as I think you might have said lifestyle, I don't think lifestyle is going to change a whole lot. I mean, you just work. It's just whatever you're asked to be, you do your best job at that job, and that's just something I've always believed in.
Alec Lewis.
Yeah, hey guys, congrats, JJ and Dayton. Dayton, I wonder how long have you known JJ could be a GM?
Well, I think to kind of piggyback on what John said, I mean, what leaders are based on how they lead. and what they do and what they look like and how they manage certain situations and the discipline and structure in their life. And, being a general manager, the baseball part of it really isn't as difficult as a lot of people think. The challenge is who you are as a person, how you manage people, how you deal with conflict, your preparedness to go about your day, because once the season begins, you're reacting on a daily basis. The off season, you're proactive, but during the season, you're reacting to a lot of things. That means you have to be prepared as a person. You got to take care of yourself. You got to eat right. You've got to get your sleep. You got to discipline your life in ways that prepare you to make good, sound decisions. You're disqualified for leadership, in my opinion, when you don't want to deal with kind of the disappointments, the drama, the issues. I mean, you've got to embrace and lean into the issues and the problems so you can be a part of the solution. JJ does that naturally. That's who he is. He's always done that. He responds instead of reacts. He listens to people. He asks great questions. So JJ is a leader, and leaders can be successful in whatever needs to be done. And at this point in time, the organization needs JJ to be the general manager, and he's more than qualified and capable of doing that. And it's going to be a great run for him.
And then I also wanted, if I can, JJ, Mr. Sherman talked a little bit about the modernization the last 2 years, maybe more. What most have you learned about the last 2 years in that modernization process? What's stood out most to you?
Well, you got to be well balanced. You can't be strong in just one area. So I know you and I have talked about, how we put together a team of hitting coaches to try to lead us in a different direction with hitting. But with that, you needed balance. You needed somebody that was, an expert on the human movement side of it. You need somebody who's an expert on just the swing mechanic side of it, et cetera, et cetera. You know where I'm going with it. But it's really, you look at it like you're putting teams together. You got to look at it from different angles. And within an organization, there's multiple teams. So I just mentioned a hitting team. You're going to have a pitching team. You're going to have a pro scouting team. So people that represent different ideas, different ways of looking at whatever the topic may be, is how you'll put a good team together. So we're going to continue to do that. That's not something that I came up with, Alec. That's something that people around me suggested that we do. And it was just a matter of listening and then trusting and taking those steps forward. And we'll continue to think that way. I think, the catchphrase is growth mindset. We're going to have a growth mindset all the time. And I think we always have.
All right, Joel, why don't you wrap it up for us on this portion?
All right, Dayton, JJ, John, congrats to you all. I had one for John and one for JJ. John, was this something you had in mind when you started, or something that evolved in your head? And I know Dayton talked about kind of the process for him. And JJ, how much, kind of piggybacking on what Alec asked too, how much did these last couple of years being in uniform, I assume that won't happen again, I don't know, but how much did that help you with your connection with guys like Bobby and Nick and MJ and the pitchers and everybody coming up? Did that get you to a deeper level with them?
Joel, to answer your question, did I have this in mind when I came here? I'm not sure that that's the case. I think these situations are all different. I will say that we had this structure in Cleveland. That's something, and they have two similarly kind of talented executives that worked for them. So, but it was something certainly that Dayton and I talked about. He told me it was something that he had thought about before. And that process kind of ran its course, and which is what brings us here today. But it's certainly something that I had thought about, and Dayton had shared with me that he had thought about it for some time.
Getting in uniform, it gave me great perspective. I sat in staff meetings and led the staff meetings, as Bill Fisher used to say, in khaki pants. And you had some credibility because of your title, but when you get down in the trenches and you listen to what coaches have to say, and you're doing things like putting schedules together, understanding the rhythm of that, it gave me a whole different perspective and appreciation for what coaches do. And then on the flip side, I do think players allowed you to maybe get inside a little bit more, give you a little bit better perspective of who they are. When you're in uniform and on the field, I think the guard's down a little bit as opposed to a front office executive coming up and speaking to you about something. So those relationships were maybe expedited by that brief time. Of course, the first year was essentially a shutdown, but we spent a lot of time at the alternate site with each other and got to know players a lot better. So it was a great experience, and I wouldn't change that at all.
All right, everybody, the first portion and the most important portion of our press conference today. Dayton, JJ, congratulations to both of you. This is your day, and we couldn't be prouder. John, I know you wanted to make a comment real quick on what kind of the buzz is around town. So if you want to make a quick comment, and then we can take a question or two.
Yeah, but I would second that. This is a special day for both of these men and for this team, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of it. I'll just tell you that. There's a buzz around about something? Is that
Rumor has it on social media somebody was going to chat about a new stadium possibility.
I would just say this, I get asked this question all the time about where we're going to play in the future. We got the lease at this building is up at the end of the decade. And since the day we acquired the franchise, trust me, we have had a revolving door with people bringing us lots of ideas, some that have been on the shelf for a long time, and we have spent our time listening. But we've also thought about the future of where we play. And I would just tell you that, we're in a good spot here at Truman Sports Complex. Our lease is up at the end of the decade, but we need to start thinking about our plans for our stadium, over the next 5 to 10 years. And I would just say this, wherever we play, the criteria will be that the process will result in meaningful community impact that is real and measurable. It will result in economic growth and economic activity that benefits this region, also in a real and measurable way. And I think about quality of life. These franchises, these sports franchises that I'm talking about, the Chiefs, the Royals, Sporting, we now have the women's soccer. These franchises are here for a reason, and they are community assets. And I think about quality of life. And so I think the other criteria is that we need to have a positive impact in the quality of life for our citizens in Kansas City, with a particular focus on those underrepresented parts of our community. So that's the criteria. I would just tell you that I guess we're a little bit beyond just listening process to help us evaluate our options for where we play. And one of those options is to play downtown baseball. It remains to be seen. We've talked about this before. We're starting to get more feedback from the community. We look forward to more, but wherever we play, it'll meet that criteria, and it's got to do great things for Kansas City.
Would you like to take a couple questions? Okay. We'll select to Dave Helling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sherman. Do you have a timeline in mind for the team in terms of a drop dead date for making a decision one way or another on where you play? I mean, obviously the clock is ticking to some degree, so you have to make up your mind. I mean, a 2 or 3 year construction period. And second, do you think taxpayers should be involved?
The question is Dave, is there a drop dead date? Was that the?
Yes, for your own internal decisions.
Yeah, I don't think there's a drop dead date. Our lease here is up in 2031. There are some ideas that, and if we're going to think about if it points to downtown baseball, if we're going to make a move, we'd have to do it, prior to that. We're also working together with the Chiefs on this and Jackson County. But no, I wouldn't say there's a drop dead date. It'll depend on how the process goes forward and what type of feedback we get from the community.
And then taxpayers, are they involved, John?
Pardon?
Do taxpayers need to be involved in this?
Taxpayers are involved today. The way that this stadium and the renovation was financed, as you probably know, in 2006 was with a, Jackson County sales tax through 2031. That was bonded, and that was a public-private partnership between the taxpayers of Jackson County and the Chiefs and the Royals for our part, and certainly the Chiefs for their part. So how this, I would anticipate that, again, it would be a public-private partnership. How that's structured, I think that's part of what we'll find out in our process.
Sam, we'll let you wrap this up.
Yeah. Hey, John. Like you mentioned, this is something that you guys have been thinking and in a lot of ways working on for years. What is the purpose or the benefit of kind of, for lack of a better term, going public with this now and sort of announcing it in a different way? What do you?
Well, it's frankly, it's hard to not go public with this. I get asked this literally everywhere I go, even more than when Bobby Witt's going to come up to the major league team. So we're having some thoughts about it. I think we want to be more transparent on how we're thinking about it, begin that discussion, and start to get feedback from the various groups in the community as how they feel about the concept, and then how we can the criteria that I gave: community impact, economic growth, and quality of life for people in this region. If we can make that work and the math works, it's certainly a possibility for the future.
With that, everybody, we're going to conclude this. We've got manager and coaches who need to be on the field, and we've answered every possible question. So thank you all very much. Again, congratulations to Dayton and JJ on this great day for you. Thanks, everyone.